Let's start this off right. This is how I completely want this to begin. I know you all heard it. I want you to hear it again.
You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about
From
it.
the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a
Mr.
good
Branham,
position. You don't have the
upset.
cards right now. With us, you start having
I'm not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you don't.
I'm very
Yeah, you're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
can
of
work.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
What do you think
You're
about?
gambling with
What do you
World
think
War
about?
III. And
Hey.
what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
I'm
That's
with
back
all
to you.
respect to you.
Far more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once this
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
Okay. I just want to end it there. Here's something that I want to make sure I make very, very clear. This was a staged event. Do I think Zelensky was in on it? I don't know. I don't know. I'm still on the edge with that, but I can promise you by the time I finish this 3-part series, I'm probably going to be able to tell you how I feel about that at the end. The reason why I thought that was important is 1, the staged event. 2, the world saw it. 3, it divided the US from almost everyone overnight. 4, they had a Russian reporter that they said they don't know how he got in there, that was there during that meeting, watching it in real time. And lastly, when he said World War III, he didn't say all of your people. He said millions are going to be involved. Millions of people are going to die. Millions. And let me tell you, he wasn't lying about that. He wasn't lying about that. Not at all. That went over everybody else's head. Every time you see something like this or you hear something like this, you have to pay attention to their wording exactly, because they tell you exactly what's going on. It's like watching a really shitty reality TV show, but it's out there. And read it and see it and keep clicking on it. You're going to see when his fingers are pointed. You're going to see when he moves towards Zelensky in that fashion. It's body reading. You're going to hear when Vance jumps in. He's not jumping in because he's like, oh, I got to protect my boyfriend. No, he's like, this is getting out of control. Trump is really expressing how dangerous this is out loud. And we need to save that for behind closed doors. He's saying way too much. It was kind of like Trump was trying to protect Zelensky. That's how I saw it. Where he was trying to say, listen, I'm dead ass serious. You're not paying attention. This is not the same. This is an entirely different thing. Look at which direction I'm going in with Russia. Pay attention. I cannot help you anymore. I can't. Okay. Then I'm going to bring up well, I don't want to say the most important part because all of them are super important. But I want that to stay in your head so that we can, again, understand exactly what this man was trying to tell Zelensky in that office and how he got played on a worldwide stage, but that all of them are involved. All of them. Okay. Here's going to be a brief history on what's been going on with the Ukraine. With Ukraine for since 1991. It's going to be very brief because there's only certain parts that I think are super important. If you're if you're into making or connecting dots in a very weird way, then you're going to love this. If it goes over your head, I sincerely apologize, but I want to keep to the audience I know is going to click. So if you're new here, I really hope that you gain a lot of information from this. But they are going to be key points that I'm going to put numbers, dates, letters, colors, all of these things together in one. So let's start with the lead up and the aftermath of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Now, a lot of the article that I'm going to be covering is not from the US. It is the AU. But this was written in February 25th of 2022, the following day after the invasion of Ukraine. So December 1st, 1991, Ukraine becomes independent. So, shortly after the fall of the Soviet Union, Ukraine voted for independence. The Ukrainian people overwhelmingly supported becoming a sovereign state. Ukraine is the second largest country in Europe by land mass and has a sizable population of ethnic Russians. Okay, keep that in mind. That's super important about how large Ukraine actually is. Then we had December 5th, 1994. The Budapest Memorandum is signed. The Budapest Memorandum on Security Assurances was signed in late 1994. This document was signed following Ukraine's agreement to transfer, please listen to this, Ukraine's agreement to transfer all nuclear weapons from the Cold War to the Russian Federation, making Ukraine a non-nuclear power. Prior to this, Ukraine had physical possession of the world's third largest nuclear stockpile. In addition to Ukraine, the Budapest Memorandum was signed by the United States, the UK, and Russia. All the signatories committed to honoring Ukraine's sovereignty and its right to its territory. When people are talking about the connect that we have with Ukraine, people think it's a Zelensky thing. It's not. This has literally been an agreement since December 5th of 1994. Ukraine was a player in the game on the world stage. They just wanted to be a sovereign nation, but they had to give up their nuclear stockpile. The third largest nuclear stockpile Ukraine has. Okay. Then we have, because this is great, next is November through December of 2004. And this is the Orange Revolution overturns election results. So November to December 2004, the Orange Revolution overturns election results. A presidential election between Viktor, and I'm going to say all of their names very, very wrong, and I apologize, Yushchenko, a Western-oriented candidate, and Viktor Yanukovych, who was supported by Russia, creates a massive controversy. Yushchenko was mysteriously poisoned before the election, but was able to recover. Victory was declared in favor of Yanukovych, but the election was widely seen as fraudulent. Ukrainians take to the street wearing orange, which was Yushchenko's campaign color. By December, protesters were able to force a revolt, resulting in a victory for Yushchenko. So, we have this election. We have two separate people, right? Of course, the Western-oriented candidate is the one who was supported by Russia, right? Because it has part of the West is involved. We do that all the time. You know how many times we overthrew dictators or presidents, and then we put people that we want in place? We do that all the time. So this isn't news. But the fact that they tried to poison him, right? And what happens? They decide the Orange Revolution. What is Trump known right now? As an orange dude. I call him the Orange Cheeto. That's just what I like. His color, or the color of his skin, of course, is what everybody makes fun of, but it has something to do with the Orange Revolution. And this was back in 2004. Okay. I'm going to cover that later. Remember 2004 and orange. So, on April 3rd of 2008, Russia fights Ukrainian NATO membership. In early April of 2008, a NATO summit began with intense debate about extending a membership action plan, or MAP, to Ukraine. In order to gain membership to NATO, a military alliance between 28 European countries and 2 North American countries dedicated to preserving peace and security in the North Atlantic area. Countries must first have a MAP, which again is the Membership Action Plan. Russian President Vladimir Putin makes his opposition to Ukrainian membership known to NATO leaders, at one point allegedly telling President George W. Bush that Ukraine is not even a real nation state. NATO does not offer Ukraine a MAP, which is again Membership Action Plan. Okay, I'm going to cover like maybe 2 other things. I'm going to cut this short and I'm going to come back for part 2. I hope that you got a lot of the information. I like I said, I wanted to start with the beginning with Trump and Zelensky. I'm giving you a little bit of history about Ukraine and its connection to the United States. and I'm going to come back for part 2. So this is Trinity, and you're listening to Lovespiracy. I hope you come back for part 2.
If you enjoy our content, please show your support by liking, sharing, and following. Our strength is in independent media. Our voices matter. Thank you for making this possible.